only 10 hours to go.
He also off-tracked us by like 15 minutes. Yes, exactly.
You're weak.
Not good showing for me today.
Good morning from the car. If you've been following along, we just finished up our bucket list series around South America, and more recently, we just spent the past weekend with family in California for Christmas, and now we are on a 14-hour road trip back home to Jacksonville. We do this road trip from California to Jackson quite a few times every year, and it's always a great time for us to reflect on the past and vision cast into the future. So with the holidays just behind us and the new year coming up in a few days, we figured it would be a great time to film a little life update video as well as answer some of your most asked questions, all while taking you along for this 14-hour road trip. For those of you that are new to the channel, we are Jay and Nina, and let's start off with a quick 30-second history to catch you up to speed. We met in college, got married in post-grad, we converted a van into our first home, we lived in the van and worked seasonal jobs in the winter and summer, and then traveled the United States in the van in the off-season. After that year, we decided to call Jacksonville our home year-round, not live in a van anymore. And now we ski in the winters, explore locally in the summers, and travel internationally around the world in the off seasons. Now that you're all caught up, let's recap 2024 before we vision cast and answer your questions for 2025. 2024 started off in Jackson Hole skiing. We had a spring trip to Telluride with Jay's family, which was really special for me to be able to experience the ski resort that Jay grew up going to, and also just to spend time with family. We love traveling, just the two of us, but something people don't get to see behind the scenes very often is how much we love to travel with family and friends. So that was a very special way to kind of kick off last year. And then our first big milestone of the year came in the spring at the very end of ski season, where I actually left my corporate job to be able to do this JAYxNINA full time, thanks to you guys. So that's something, I don't know that we've ever talked about that online before. And almost immediately after I left my corporate job, we left and went to Iceland.
With that big life change, Iceland was a little bit of a last minute trip, and it was cool to get back to van life. We hadn't done it since we had lived in our van, and more importantly, we had never done it with 4 people before, so that was a completely different experience. We went to Iceland in search of the Northern Lights and actually ended up missing the Northern Lights in the United States when we were there. Hopefully we still have some Northern Lights in our future.
After Iceland, we spent the summer in Jackson Hole, kind of crossing off all of these big bucket list challenges, I would say. I'm really proud of us for climbing the Grand Teton, and we are definitely not climbers, so that was a pretty big deal for us. You can watch that video for the full story there.
Living in Jackson Hole, you're always staring up at the Grand Teton, and it's really nice knowing that I've stood on top of that. A pretty cool feeling. In preparation for climbing the Grand Teton, I was able to run a marathon. Going through my running phase, now I don't have that to do for the rest of my life.
Everyone always asks, oh, what marathon did you run? And this speaks to Jay's personality. He didn't like run a formal marathon in that like you sign up and pay a fee, because he couldn't justify paying for running. So we just called it like the Jay Cummings Marathon, basically.
It also speaks to the kind of people that are in Jackson, because just me saying that I wanted to run a marathon, there was a whole list of friends that were immediately like, oh yeah, I'll run with you, because everyone else is ultra marathon runners, and 26 miles, that's like a training run for them.
One of the things we did this summer is backpack the Teton Crest Trail, and despite being pretty avid hikers and skiers, we're not backpackers. Jay kind of is, but that was my first ever multi-day backpacking trip, and it was a big deal. There were some serious highs and serious lows. Even though we did that back in July, we are going to release that video in April, so something to look forward to this year if you want to see all of my meltdowns and victories from the Teton Crest Trail. But overall, that is something I'm very proud of us for doing. Summer eventually led to fall, where we got to watch the leaves change, as I feel like we've missed that the past few years, so it was very nice to just be home and get to enjoy that part of mountain town life this year. And then, of course, our bucket list South America trip to kind of close out the fall season. That trip has been a priority one for me for a while, and I don't know if anyone can relate, but sometimes you just don't feel like the time is right and keep kicking the can down the road with a trip that you really want to go on, and that was this for me. So it did feel like a very big accomplishment to go on that trip this year. We've technically been on longer trips, but we've always had friends or family join us, and that was a new challenge for us. It was probably the first time we got homesick on one of our big travels. That being said though, we got to do so many bucket list experiences and excursions that we are so grateful for, including reigniting our love for scuba diving. We haven't been scuba diving in years, and getting to dive in the Galapagos Islands with hammerhead sharks was definitely a highlight of 2024. Which brings us full circle, ending the year the way we started by skiing in Jackson. All right, we're gonna take a brief intermission to grab some Taco Bell for lunch because it's only 9 a.m. and then we'll pick up with the Q&A session. First official stop.
And that's it. Appreciate it.
It's 9:30 a.m. Too early for Taco Bell. We did not get breakfast food, by the way. We don't get to have fast food very often since we live in a mountain town and our options are very limited, but we do love it. Unanimously, Raising Cane's is our favorite between the two of us, and we always get that in Salt Lake City. So we will get that for dinner tonight, but then second place is up for negotiation. And food and gas stop means it's also time to change drivers. My passenger princess days are temporarily done for the next few hours, and Jay will fill up gas. I'll snack and drive, and we'll switch for the final few hours. This is always our routine. Jay starts driving early in the morning. I drive the big, long, straight stretch in the middle, and then he closes us out with the mountain driving at the end. Today, we are really hoping it's not snowing, but Jackson is under winter storm warning, so things could get dicey later today.
Taco Bell just hits a little bit different at 9 a.m.
It never hits good. It tastes good, but it doesn't hit good.
I always go with the value box because it's such a good value. I get a specialty taco, normal Locos taco, burrito, and then nachos are fun. What's mandatory is Baja Blast, the soda, not the freeze. I know a little bit of a hot take.
The freeze is so good.
The soda is so much better. You might have your preference of like what form you eat your Taco Bell, but at the end of the day, every single thing on the menu tastes the exact same. Nina basically gets exactly what I get, only 3 times more expensive. Coming in.
Yes.
I'm a much better eater and driver than Nina is. Because Nina likes to drive during the day, she always ends up getting the food shifts. Subsequently, we get lots of stained clothes,
yeah, it's
spilled
a messy
food
endeavor
over the car. But it is pretty entertaining to watch her trying to eat and drive.
It's not cute, but it tastes good.
And now that we got our food, let's jump into some Q&A. These are questions that you guys have been asking that we're finally ready to answer. First question is, what do we do for work?
We started off doing seasonal work, instructing in the winters, and then all sorts of guiding in the summertime. And then up until April this past year that we just talked about, I was in basically ski resort marketing. So marketing, seasonal work. Now we do this content creation full time, meaning we get to make videos for you guys on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook even, and we work with brands on different collaborations, doing basically photography and videography. And it is all thanks to you guys, our awesome community. And a Tide stain stick or a napkin with water.
The next question is, why Jackson Hole? Well,
initially we moved to Jackson because we wanted to travel and work doing seasonal jobs, and it was just the first place we got jobs. After a season in Jackson, we were planning to go to Hawaii, which we got stuck the first place we tried. Now we just love the small town feel, love the mountains, love the skiing, love our community.
What is the best way for us to support you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thanks for asking. Now that we're doing this full time, we end up working with a lot of brands and companies, and your engagement on any of our content, whether that's a sponsored ad or just a video like this, always means a ton. You can know that from our end, we really prioritize only working with companies that we truly believe in their product or service, but that doesn't mean you ever should feel like you have to buy something just because we're promoting it. Your engagement, whether that's likes or comments, always means a ton.
How do you pick your travel destinations?
You probably know our style is more outdoor adventure travel. We're not huge on cities. Never say never. You'll probably see us in New York one day, and we have been to Paris and all those places. That being said, our bucket list is massive. There's very few places in the world that we wouldn't go. We're pretty much willing to go everywhere.
We also want to go everywhere.
Experience different cultures, experience different sceneries, different environments. That being said, we prioritize currently visiting destinations that we think would be challenging with kids, because we know we want to travel for our entire lives, and we know we love to travel with a family. So we try to think of destinations that are a lot easier now being a young couple than will be with family or with kids. For example, doing Via Ferratas all over Europe a couple years ago. Kids probably can't climb Via Ferratas when they're really young. Or going to the Galapagos Islands and scuba diving with hammerhead sharks, probably not a very kid-friendly activity. But Japan, we would love to go to Japan tomorrow. It's just ranked as such a great destination for kids that we've been holding off because we know it will be a good family destination. There's not always that much of a rhyme or reason to it, but that is our general process.
And that actually leads us perfectly into our next question of, do you guys want to have kids?
The short answer is yes, definitely. Maybe sooner than later. We're getting ready. I never thought I'd say that, and that feels very vulnerable to say on the internet because plans always change and you never know how things are going to go, but
we're really excited to be parents if that's what the Lord wants.
Check in with us at the 2025 life update video and we'll give you an update.
Next question is, will we stay in Jackson Hole?
I think we'd really like to. We love Jackson, we love our community, we love all the outdoor adventures all around, but if you know anything about living in a mountain town or living in Jackson specifically, it is very, very expensive. It would be very hard to afford a family home. there.
To live in Jackson, you either have to have 3 jobs or you probably own 3 houses.
The short answer is we'd like to stay in Jackson. We are always keeping our eyes open for different spots. We have friends that have found a way to make it work. California is never off the table since both of our families are there, only about an hour apart from each other. And we just love having that support system. And we have nieces and nephews, so our kids would have cousins out in California. But if it's up to us and we're saying right now, we would love to stay in Jackson or around the area.
If we can stay in Jackson, we're gonna try and make it work. And I'd say that's it for the main questions we've been getting asked.
Now we are going to take a little break and we will catch up with you at our next food stop for some vision casting and what you can expect from us in 2025.
And some Raising Cane's.
To throw away the Taco Bells and replace it with canes. We have officially been driving 9 hours and we have 5 left to go.
We are loyal customers here and we live 5 hours away.
Utah's really doing it for me.
It's because the mountains are snowy. It's always pretty. We traded our Taco Bell for our canes. Oh, the light's green, gotta go. Sweet tea test, pretty good today.
Cane's always keeps you on your toes.
There's always something that really hits and something that's bad. Chicken fingers, toast, and fries.
All have the potential to be really good. But one thing you do need to be mindful of, especially when you're taking it to go, is do not let canes sit in the container for too long, but the toast gets a little soggy.
I said I wasn't hungry and now seeing the canes, I'm
I
hungry.
just start salivating.
It's not really dinner time right now, but we have no food once we get home. So it's this and buttered noodles for us.
If you eat canes, you know that butter on both sides is pretty mandatory. You don't even say butter on both sides, you say bobbed.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to sauce me up and then we can talk about our 2025 goals. Undo it for me, please. This is not an easy one to eat and drive. Usually we switch at this point, but it's still light out and I feel like I've got some more to give in terms of driving, so try to crank out another hour or 2.
You are scooted so close to the steering wheel.
I need
Can't
to
even-
be in control.
Now that we're getting all situated with our food, we're gonna talk about our vision for 2025.
Another goal for this year, I think I'm in the wrong lane. Hold up.
Panic, panic,
Panic.
panic.
Go. I am a panic driver. We are calling 2025 25 destinations in 2025. Not sure if we can pull that one off, but if we can, we would love to try to see the Northern Lights
You
this
guys
year.
see that?
On your new Christmas shirt. No, get the Tide stain stick.
Oh, Christmas shirt. New clothes are just magnets for stains.
And our goal is to highlight those 25 destinations mainly here on YouTube through these long form videos. Hopefully we will post 25 YouTube videos in 2025.
We will post 25 YouTube videos.
I don't know, we posted like 12 in 2024.
We're-
This is by far our favorite way to highlight and share our travels. They not only serve as our own memories that we can look back on, but I also just feel like we get to share behind the scenes and you really get to be there with us. Part of those 25 destinations, what do we got in the pipeline?
In the winter, we have the potential to visit up to a dozen different ski resorts.
For how much we ski, we are not very well ski resort traveled. I've really only skied Jackson Hole, Telluride, and our little tiny resort in California that I learned to ski at. We have Mountain Collective this year. Also for the winter, there's a potential for a Northern Lights trip. Usually in the spring, we do some big international trip. Jay vocalized that Egypt was at the top of his list, so potentially a trip to the Middle East could be cool. Summer, we love to stick around domestically in the United States. We have some weddings in Southern California. We, of course, will have many more adventures in and around Jackson Hole and hopefully explore some of the surrounding states as well this year. Fall feels pretty far away, but if we're just vision casting, an Alaskan cruise sounds really cool. We have heard absolutely amazing things from friends that have gone on those cruises. We also would love to go to Hawaii, also on the 2025 bucket list, and this is probably the longest shot of anything on the list, but I'll just put it out there. We would love to go to Antarctica in the fall or early winter next year. Feels like a long shot. I don't know how we'll pull it off.
It's now or never.
Not never, but it's now.
It's now or 10, 15 years down the road.
I won't say exactly when we're thinking about having kids, but I will say if you see us go to Antarctica, be ready for us to announce a pregnancy soon after.
That is the sign.
No, it would be the closing chapter on our couple's adventures. That is the last adventure that feels impossible with kids. With that, thanks for watching our life update. If you have any other questions about 25 and 2025, ask them in the comments and we'll answer them in 2026.
Make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Those are one of the best ways to support us here and show us that we should keep making content just like this.
We'll follow up with you when we get home tonight. We are in our final 4 hours of the drive and entering the winter storm warning, so it's time for me to focus on the road.
We'll let you know that we got home safe.
slip. Sorry, buddy. Just another day in Jackson.
Oh, he's squeaky.
Yeah, you could just close the curtain.
It's too much work.
Full Sabbath mode.